A warm welcome back to the Information Security Stack, together with me, Daniel Gustafsson, and Kim Hindart.
Hubba.
Today, Kim, we are going to be bearer of more great news to the world of IT within EU. Or no, I'm actually kidding. We're going to bring more bad news to the table. It is regarding the EU and the UK this time around. As we all know, or we might have forgotten about, to be honest with you, with 2020 being the way it has been, the UK will leave the EU at this time defined as December 31st, and as has been predicted, it's leaning towards becoming a hard Brexit, meaning UK will leave EU. The trade laws and all the regulations in place between the UK and EU and the rest of the world, to be fair, essentially needs to be redone. So this is going to be a grand mess, I guess, especially for the people in the UK and the government in the UK and everyone else that tries to do business with the UK. In terms of IT regulations, this will affect the relationship between the rest of the EU countries and the UK as well. Because a court ruling within the EU has defined that the snooping laws and the data intrusion laws that are in place currently in the UK is not coherent with the GDPR as it stands right now. And when the UK leaves, we will need to treat the UK as a third country as well, just as we currently do with the US and many other countries as well, because the insufficient protection of personal data according to GDPR. Kim Hindart, what does this actually mean?
Yeah, to start with, the first thing is that the UK will most probably leave with just the World Trade Organization's regular agreement. So the United Kingdom will, in terms of the EU, be a third country, like any other third country outside the EU. It will be Iran, China, United States.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be no mechanisms for data protection in place.
Mm.
You might think that, well, since UK used to be an EU member, standard contractual clauses in this thing would be an awesome tool to use because, you might suspect that the EU would think, yeah, United Kingdom, you used to be a member, so you can be trusted with personal data the same amount as you could a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the big problem once they leave, because GDPR allows for making exceptions to the handling of personal data in terms of national security. So for national security reasons, you can do and make exceptions. And GDPR allows for this. But it allows this under a set of circumstances where the European Court of Justice can go in and review and keep checks on this. If you leave, the EU court doesn't have any jurisdiction over that anymore. So one of the checks to keep this in check from going out of control is actually gone once United Kingdom leaves. And this can be handled, of course, with an agreement, and most probably the United Kingdom wants to have an agreement with the EU, so that would be shocked if they haven't had that. But as it looks like right now, there will be what we call a hard Brexit.
Mm-hmm.
We can discuss. They had plenty of years to avoid this, plenty of opportunities to avoid this, and here we are again. So anyway, that said, we need to respect that 2020 made some interesting things worldwide. Things happened that we didn't really expect. So
no. I mean, it's not that long ago that when the Brexit news essentially was in the papers all over the place every day. That was the news, essentially, especially here in Europe. Nowadays, it's not even mentioned even more because there are so many other things that is taking the time and opinions away for people right now. So to your point, people are essentially forgotten about the Brexit deal, but it will happen as it stands right now.
So from a data privacy perspective, the first thing you need to consider is that the United Kingdom will be a third country, like anyone else. That said, this would have should have been a prime example of a third country that actually has rules in place. They have even written in the exact statements as GDPR in their UK local law. So it should have been a great example of someone that can be trusted, even if the Commission hasn't made an adequacy decision yet. This would be a prime example on where standard contractual clauses could be applied perfectly. And it would be the same because, they still have a good data protection rule in the United Kingdom, with one exception, and that's the mass surveillance law. This is called the Snooping Charter in the United Kingdom. So Investigatory Powers Bill is the formal name. But anyway, the Snooping Charter. And it's too widespread. The European Court of Justice ruled this too widespread. The same manner that they destroyed actually Privacy Shield.
Yeah.
When they sent Privacy Shield packing and destroyed that mechanism for the United States. Just to be clear, this prevents even standard contractual clauses in the United States because no amount of agreement between two companies can prevent the government. And the government, if they have overstating laws, well, sorry, no agreement can help that.
No.
So that's why Privacy Shield broke as a mechanism for the United States for excessive mass surveillance laws. The same is done, the Court of Justice has found the same applies to the United Kingdom. And this usually wouldn't have been that much of an issue had they remained within the EU.
No.
Then this could have been negotiated and the Court of Justice could have installed safeguards. So if I, as a UK citizen, felt violated by the UK government, I still had a resource to make a complaint to the EU court. And the EU court could overrule this. Now that they leave, this is a mechanism that are no longer available unless they reach an agreement. But like we said, it's the combination of a hard Brexit and extensive snooping laws that makes this a real problem. And this is, of course, you don't have as much hyperscalers in the United Kingdom as you have in the United States. But since we are European, it's not uncommon that you have offices, employees, you hire consultants from the United Kingdom. It's used to be a big country within the EU. So
it used to be very prevalent within the EU.
Yeah,
yes,
so
sure.
I mean, so it's not surprising if you have a lot of business back and forth between the United Kingdom.
No.
I'm sad to say I will need to do a mass import of shirts because my favorite shirt manufacturer is in the United Kingdom. And before 31st of December, I need to place this order because after that, who knows? It will be.
It's going to be a struggle, right? And I mean, from a personal perspective, I have family that lives in the UK as well. So I mean, it's not a situation that is beneficial for anyone. I mean, just the mere fact traveling in and out of the UK is going to be way more different than it used to be as well. So there are so many things that's going to be affected by this. But to your point, there's been time. I mean, this has been going on for years now. And how little or low have the data laws and the data transfer bits have? Where in the priority chart, where have that been? Very far down, I would assume, essentially.
Yeah, unfortunately, too far down, I would say. So this is the problem. So if we compare it to Privacy Shield, I think we will have a solution with the UK long before we have a solution with the Privacy Shield issue.
Yes.
Because that's a whole different political beast within the US to handle. They said, I think the United Kingdom can easily adjust their snooping laws so they're not so widespread. The idea isn't that they complain about the law itself. They complain about the overreaching in the law, that they surveillance everything, totally, absolutely everything. And this is the problem because it's not efficient either.
No.
You want to do some targeting. So by natural, you will do some targeting. And this is, I think, is easier for United Kingdom to change. That said, I don't think data protection will be the highest priority in a hard Brexit.
No.
Like we used to say, we're no political experts, but I think there will be a lot of messier and more higher priority things that they need to resolve.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be a political expert to just realize there are so many other things that will take the time and take prevalence in the discussions moving forward. Just getting things like food and medicine in and out of the country could be, I believe, higher up in the priority chart, right? Yeah. I think that's going to be relevant. But with that being said, so many things now, and this is why I think it's a bit sad that it hasn't been fixed before, that we haven't looked into this before, because so many things are being sold through the internet or used. The internet is used to communicate, to send data, sell services, whatever it might be. It is such an important communication line, especially for a country which is an island as well, not part of the mainland. I mean, it's, to your point, I don't think the UK will struggle with this to adapt to the EU and just say, all right, you know what, we need this. I would be surprised if they make a mess out of this one as well, to be honest with you, because there are so many other things that are more higher priority than this. And also just looking at from a country's perspective and the citizens living there, we can't end up in a situation where the UK can't use, or we can't send data in between the EU as well. I mean, because they are such a huge part of Europe, whether or not they're part of the EU, right? And they could easily become a Norway if they just had wanted to, essentially. And you mentioned this before in other discussions as well. So I mean, it's just been such a mess. That's the problem. I mean, it's been going on forever, and we want to be part of it. We don't want to be part of it, and this little detail just have skipped through the cracks that no one. Oh yeah, we forgot about that, and holy crap! December 31st they're gonna leave, and now we need the data privacy agreement between the EU and the UK. And I don't know, man. It's just it's kind of sad, isn't it? This year is not going well, man. I mean, I'm just this is so many bad things. I mean, you and I we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. We were in a meeting, and we just left that meeting, and we realized that whenever we open our mouth and we start to talk about these things, everyone just gets sad and depressed, and it is not a very fun subject to talk about. But it's just a mess, man.
To give a shimmer of hope, things will become better. They can't really become that much worse.
Well, that's good news. And soon we will reach 2021 as well. So then there's no longer 2020's fault, right?
But yeah. Anyway, just be rest assured that each and every month 2020 will just say, "Hold my beer."
It's just been gradually worse every month, right? So we haven't reached.
And we haven't reached the end of the year yet. So.
No, we're not there yet. So,
but now. Jokes aside, this could have been handled by the UK government, but there is still hope. They haven't left yet.
Nope.
So we can see what they managed to get out of there. But the problem is the negotiations with United Kingdom and EU, regardless on what political side you might feel about Brexit or not, we can say that the negotiations hasn't been the smooth process.
No, it hasn't. And also really why we want to bring this up now is that, we just want to bring this to people's attention, that do not forget about this. There's so much focus on the privacy shield in the US right now, for good reasons as well. To your point, all the large hyperscalers in the world is essentially based in the US, and we are so dependent on the US services. So of course that's going to have a prevalence in terms of what we communicate and how we think. But don't forget about the fact that you might have offices in the UK, that you have data transfer to the UK, you might purchase services from the UK, and so on. And don't forget about the fact that they are actually leaving the UK. That is the message we want to spread to you who are listening to this right now.
And this court ruling that happens a couple of weeks ago makes it extremely messy. Yeah. In the sense that all of a sudden United Kingdom, just because they're leaving, isn't an adequate country anymore. So they do have the same problem with mass surveillance as what actually discarded the privacy shield. So you might find some trouble. So think about that. Because we are very used to just being able to do business with the United Kingdom without any obstacles in the way, smoothly. We've been done that for huge amount of years right now between the EU. And so, I mean, this is something new, and yes, it's something you need to consider and think about if you are a company or entity outside of United Kingdom, but do business or transfers to and from the UK. That said, of course, there's not the same amount of these huge hyperscalers that come from the United Kingdom. So
no.
But yeah, anyway, something to consider a bit when you look ahead. And but like I said, we haven't seen the last of this yet, because it's not final that they will actually leave with a hard Brexit. That brings me to a paper that was written by a team at London University.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an awesome paper, but they wrote this paper and published it pre the court ruling of Privacy Shield and pre the court ruling on the snooping law.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned this potential in the paper, but we will try and actually get one of the authors for that paper in for an interview to talk a bit about what actually happens. But that paper is terrific to read because it outlines a bit what are the problems we're facing. And,
right. They were just like looking in the crystal ball about a year ago and started, what would happen if this happens? For instance, the UK leaves the EU and with a hard Brexit, and what happens if the Privacy Shield falls, and so on and so on. And essentially everything that they stated in that paper have happened. I don't think that was the intention of the paper, but it has happened, and it is it's very interesting. And to your point, we're going to see if we can get those people on board to have that discussion. But it is a strange time, and we are becoming more and more segregated in the IT world right now. I don't think that's positive, to be honest with you. But that's where we are right now, and the world is looking a little bit bleak. So we'll see what happens. But once again, we'll see what happens with the Brexit. We'll see what happens with the whole handling of that. We're gonna have an election in the US soon as well. That's gonna be interesting to follow, because I think that could potentially have some ramification of the Brexit as well. So you never know what's going to happen, right? But do not forget about this. Don't forget about the fact that this is most probably going to happen, and we are very dependent on the UK, and we have so many offices and so many people working for us or with us that is based in the UK. And make sure you have your checks in order, so this doesn't come as a surprise as well.
I don't know about you, but I feel a lot older at the end of 2020 than I felt at the beginning of 2020. So it feels as it's been a lot longer than 1 year. I don't know, but
it does.
That's just...
I agree wholeheartedly.
And of course, I perfectly understand, and everyone perfectly understand, that something like Corona takes precedent in the news over data privacy.
Of course.
Sure.
Of course it does.
So you end up below the fold with stuff like this.
Mm.
And for all you kids out there, below the fold is a paper reference. You can Google that.
A physical newspaper reference. That puts a scale on your time and how old you are as well. So
so I know. So I can own that. I'm old. Anyway, this is something... actually, we just wanted to mention that, data privacy has all of a sudden become pretty messy globally. But some hope in the end of the tunnel. Australia is moving greatly to be joining the GDPR community. Mm-hmm. Canada is all in. Japan is all in. So we see this. Actually, other countries are stepping up now and reaching in. Doing a lot more. So I have hopes as well, because I don't think that the US way, US citizens first, everyone else is secondary, is the way to go. You should actually do the respect of all people. And so I mean, we tend a bit to forget the history on why is data privacy so important for especially the Germans who actually wrote this, and are actually one of the leading countries when it comes to this data privacy within the EU as well. And they had a lot of data privacy laws ahead of this time. And I mean, Germany has a pretty recent history, although it's still within the 20th century, that they had something called Gestapo.
Yeah.
And for you kids out there who hasn't got a clue about the Gestapo, you can Google that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, when you abuse data privacy, you can get some horrendous ramifications.
You can. And Jesus Christ, if the Gestapo had the today's technology.
Technology of today, that's horrendous. So let's never forget that, because just to be perfectly clear, if I'm gay or not, my internet knows that perfectly well.
Yes.
That's not a hard issue today to realize, to get hold of.
Quite frankly, you don't even have to work for any like CIA or anything like that to figure out things about people. Just going through a browser history will essentially tell everything I need to know about you, what you like, who you are, your sexual preferences, your religion, whatever it might be. Just you go through your cookies and the browsing history in your computer, and you're gonna find it out. So I mean, it's easy today for anyone to figure out who people are and abuse that information, essentially.
And if we give that authority away, then we are in trouble. That this really needs to be regulated.
Yes.
Because if we allow for people and companies to exploit this, you might end up in some horrendous examples. And the Germans have a very good, not that far gone example in history when this went out.
I mean, here's the problem. I mean the Second World War, that's what we're talking about here, was during the late 30s and the early 40s. So it's 80-90 years ago, essentially. 80 years, essentially. And that might sound like ancient history, but it's not that far away, and it's not that long ago. And the way that turned out, to your point, had the modern technology been in place that is there today, goodness gracious me, yes, that would have been horrible. So the whole data gathering principles and knowing who people are through data gathering, if you put that in the wrong hands, it can be devastating. So there is a point for why this should be regulated, and as I wholeheartedly agree with you that this is not something that we should just take easy on and don't care about. But it is hard though when the world is not seeing the privacy principles the same way. And I understand that you want to be protective of your own people. I understand you want to be protective of your own country. But the world is global today. I think people tend to forget that it's a global world. Yes, we have countries, we have borders, we have all of that, but the world is global. And the whole idea with the internet from the get-go was to have a worldwide network for everyone to be able to connect to and use and spread information and communicate and so on between each other. And it had a brilliant agenda. But it's now in a situation where it's being used for the wrong principles and for the wrong purposes. It is such valuable data. So, man, we cannot allow this to get out of hand. That's all there is to it. And we'll see what's happened. But I agree with you that I think the GDPR in the EU got it right. It's a human right. Let's keep that in mind, and let's see how we can adapt to it. But that's where we are right now. We will link, of course, all the articles and things that we have been referencing and talked about in the episode. And so you can read up upon it as well. All we wanted to do with this episode was remind you that the Brexit is still a thing. It will most probably happen, and it will most probably affect people in the UK and the EU. So make sure that you have looked into whatever possibilities that are out there for you, and the data transfers that are in place right now between your company and the UK, or vice versa.
Yes.
So, Kim, for today, I think we close the shop and we talk to you next time.
Hubba.